Hi, this is a brief video response to Silver Mage 87. I think that's the correct username. He asks 5 questions, basically from a theist to an atheist. I'm not going to cover all 5 here, but the particular one I am going to address is number 4. And the question is, assuming that God created the universe, what proof do you want, or what proof would you expect to see to show that that was the case? Now, the part where we have to assume that God did create all of this, that's quite tricky. If God did create all of this, then I would expect there to be some kind of evidence which could not be explained by the physical laws, the laws of physics that we have worked out over the last few hundred years. This video has the potential of being the most watched video ever on YouTube, and probably the most watched video clip on TV in history, because God is supposed to be omniscient, and that means he must be listening to me right now. So, God, if you can hear me, which presumably you can, please could you, to show me that you're real, lift this car off the ground, hold it about 100 feet in the air, completely defying the laws of gravity and physics as we know them, and because presumably if you created the universe you would be able to do something like that. Certainly in the stories about you in the Bible, you did many physics defying, you performed many miracles which defied the laws of physics. So if you could lift this car off the ground, hold us up about 100 feet in the air, and also, if I'm worthy of your time, have a conversation with me, because I would like to ask you a few questions. You will notice that the car is still sitting in the same place. I thought it might. So, if that happened, if God decided that he would do something for me which would convince me, then it would be something along the lines of, okay, you're God, you'll need to talk to me in such a way that it's obvious to me that I'm not hallucinating or just hearing voices in my head, so preferably when I'm not drunk, when I'm not feeling particularly ill. And then I would ask, assuming we got the conversation going, I would ask for some kind of a demonstration to convince me that what I was seeing and experiencing wasn't some kind of elaborate hoax or trickery. So, assuming the car is floating in the air, I would say, okay, God, it's cloudy now. Could you very rapidly remove all the clouds and, turn this into a bright sunny day and see what that looks like? And if that suddenly happened, that would be pretty mind-blowing. We've learnt an awful lot about the universe, space, planets, stars, galaxies, atoms, subatomic structure, and that basically means that we understand almost everything that is going on around us. We're all made of atoms. Everything around us is made of atoms, and it's all obeying the laws of physics. There is no need to invoke an intelligence or a creator to have come up with all this stuff. The question asked also precludes God revealing himself. Now that does make it tricky, because a lot of us who are not believers, that's the kind of thing that it would take. According to the Bible, people like Noah and Moses spoke directly to God. They also, incidentally, had unnaturally long lifespans, something I'm quite envious of, but it would appear that, in the last couple of thousand years, he hasn't thought it worth his while to speak directly to anybody. The Pope might have something to say about that, but I would turn the question around and say, why can't he reveal himself to us? It would certainly make the whole religion business a lot more convincing. The very fact that it has to rely on faith that particularly old religious texts are true, are based on reality, not made up by people. That's quite hard to accept, especially when the authorship of these texts is sort of hidden in the mists of history, and nobody can really agree as to exactly who wrote the Bible and when. There's also the fact that there are so many other religious texts which also claim to be the sort of one and only truth, the one and only true version of reality. That's probably quite a hard thing for a religious person to understand, but, and this has been said so many times before, a Christian probably feels the same way about Islam as a Muslim feels about Christianity. An atheist or an agnostic feels the same way about all religions. None of them are particularly convincing. If I had to associate myself with any religion, I guess it would be something like pantheism, but that itself only really means that you have a respect for the natural world, not necessarily worshipping the universe in any organized way, but just having a respect for the universe and for life, without the need for complex rituals, attendance of churches, repetition and memorizing of texts and all that stuff. So I hope that sheds some light on what it is to not believe